a tremendous development, that is photography. Photography today has become a very popular hobby and a passion. I think primarily because cameras have become affordable and accessible. People today, buy cell phones based on the camera quality. At the same time, the social media also has offered a great platform for people to showcase their creativity. Photography, therefore, has also become a very interesting employee engagement activity for many of the corporates. So we believe that it's our duty for us to offer an honest salute to the creators and the gods of this art on this auspicious day. Just to mention a few words from the history of photography, the daguerreotype was the first commercially successful photographic process. I'm talking about 1839 to 1816, the history of photography, named after the inventor Louis Daguerre. Each daguerreotype used to be a unique image on a silvered coppered plate, and since then, the photography has gone through a century change, and we are looking forward to some great insights from some of the very senior masters from the industry who are available with us in this evening. So hold your breath, guys, ladies and gentlemen. It's going to be a fantastic interactive meeting today. The event plan goes something like this. We will be interacting with the masters for the first 45 minutes of the session. And in the second part of the session, we'll be going to we'll be showing the nominations, showing the winners of the photography contest that we have been running for the last 1 week, and we have just concluded yesterday. The theme of the contest was kept as shadow to light, keeping in mind the prevailing conditions. And before we start off, just a few ground rules to keep in mind. Since we have more than 100 participants expected here, we have kept the audience's devices in mute. And if you have any questions, we would sincerely request to park your questions in the Q&A tab. We'll be taking up the questions after the end of the first session. And also another request, we request you to please keep your questions related to photography. Let's talk about photography, and avoid camera, lens, and brand specific questions, please. Let's celebrate photography. Let's talk about photography today. All right, now coming to our masters this evening. They do not require really any kind of introduction. However, I would still like to make a formal introduction before we go ahead with the interactions with the masters. Coming to our senior most, Mr. Rohinton Mehta, a living encyclopedia, I always call him, on the art and science of photography techniques. I would say genius is an understatement for this maestro. Uncle Ronnie, as the world calls him, is the technical editor of Smart Photography. For over 35 years of his experience in the field of photography, he has taught thousands of students and photo enthusiasts through his brilliant workshops and articles. His spatial ability to simplify complicated technical jargons in an easily understandable way is unbeatable. His knowledge of photography is appreciated globally, and we at DCP are blessed to have you, Ronnie sir, with us.
Thank you, Doctor. Thank you. Thank you for your kind
Moving
words.
on to the next master, Mr. Rafiq Syed is one of the most celebrated photographers in India. He is known by his unique medium of black and white, unbelievable control on lights, dramatic fine art, portrait, and fashion photographs. Now he says there are subjects who are like walls. It's very interesting. But there are some whose character and expressions can be sketched easily, says Rafiq. He feels an image should be an interaction between the subject and the lensman. He's a Sony artisan. After having made millions of jaw-dropping images with myriad play of light and shade, Rafiq claims to have not taken the best shot yet. Very interesting, sir. My canvas is still empty. I need people to help me fill it up with creative, meaningful, and out of the ordinary work, says Rafiq. I want to give gold for gold. Fantastic, sir.
Hi.
Moving on to thank you so much, sir, for being with us here. Moving on to the next maestro, the Bedi brothers, Ajay Bedi and Vijay Bedi, the third generation wildlife filmmakers in a family that has long history of expertise in this highly specialized field. Starting young, they are in fact the youngest Asians to have won the Wild Screen Awards, known as Green Oscar, for their films The Policing Langur and The Cherub of the Mist. The twin brothers have worked on natural history documentaries, films with a social message, and corporate films for some of the biggest international names in the industry. They have worked with various national and international channels like CNN International, Al Jazeera English, Canadian Television, BBC, Channel 4 Television, Doordarshan, PBS Now, T41 French channel, ZDF channel, National Geographic, Discovery Channel, Discovery Science Channel. The two brothers have received 3 national awards from the President of India. Congratulations. We
Thank
are
you.
pleased to have you over here.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here among all the.
Pleasure, sir. Thank you so much for being here. And moving on to our next master, Mr. Sandeep Bali is the lens-based artist and commercial photographer. He was trained to be an arts management professional and curator and accorded a US Fulbright Fellowship in visual art before he became a full-time photographer. As an artist, Bali has exhibited widely in India, New Zealand, and in the US. Commercially, Sandeep shoots art intervention and installations, fashion and beauty, food and location, but his personal work is highly aligned between street and culture. He has also been accorded the honor of Lens Ambassador for Carl Zeiss. Most welcome, sir. We are honored to have you over here for the evening.
It's an honor to be here.
Thank you, sir. So let's move on to the interaction, sir. I would come back to you. Moving on to Rohinton Mehta, sir. I have the first question to you.
Okay.
What, according to you, is the significance of the World Photography Day? Your definition, sir.
The significance of the World Photography Day is threefold.
Okay.
World Photography Day is celebrated to allow people to, one, pay their respects to the pioneers of photography, two, to communicate and express their feelings with each other through the medium of photography, and three, to invite new photographers and encourage them to pursue photography.
All right. Very, very clear insights, sir. Rafiq, sir, if I may ask you, considering the current pandemic situation, what is your take on the immediate future of photography business in the country, especially in perspective of fashion photography, sir?
I'll be very frank with you about when you call it a business. I have never considered photography to be a business. And
Well, sir.
yeah,
So much like you. I expected this answer.
yeah, because it's something as a passion for me, and I'll remain passion for me. Because if it does not, I'll hang my boots. That's a very clear thing in my mind. And the second important thing about it, what you're talking about tomorrow. I have no idea about what is going to happen tomorrow, because the advertising business is almost dead. And advertising business for dead for last so many years. It was 3 years now. But now the agencies are closed till the December. And I don't think that it is a very bright future. But again, I think this is a very, very important time for the people to do personal work. So far as I'm concerned, I'll go back to the studio and do personal work, because your personal work makes you a better photographer than advertising or commercial work.
Absolutely. So very well said, sir. Sir, I'll come back to you once again. Moving on to Ajay sir and Vijay sir. Sir, I got this image from Ajay sir this evening only, and I was about to ask him how it has been, under lockdown for last so many months and no wildlife around. Your take, Ajay sir, I would like to take both of your takes separately. Ajay sir, what's your take on this lockdown and no wildlife?
Right. I will say, first of all, hello to everybody. It is a pleasure to be here among all the, dignitaries. And answering to your question is like, yes, my journey has been very, very great and emotional as well, and overwhelming, because one side there was Corona and the other side was the family. Yes. So there's a lot of emotion going through, but sharing these pictures of the Indian palm squirrel, this was one of the equation when the weather became very bad, and one day in the morning, I saw this baby, just around the corner, lying on the tree side, So we picked up, we brought it home, and we, kept him and groomed him, And this was the best part, because at that point, I could actually teach my children and, my wife that, one can really do something towards wildlife, by taking care of them and, giving them a life, a new life. And that's what happened actually. It stayed us with almost 2 weeks,
Wow.
and my children both feeded them, and then finally we released him in the wild and the mother accepted it.
Wow.
That was quite exciting for sure.
Very
And
interesting.
some of we wildlifers, I will say, we try to look for wildlife anywhere one can find, It could be even urban wildlife as well, yes.
I know. Very interesting. Vijay sir, what has been your take on this?
First of all, I'd like to thank DCP to organize such a wonderful talk, and it's always fun to be a part with the whole group and try to learn things. As a nature photographer, we are still trying to understand nature world when we go out there. So we like to be out there as much as we can, and of course, unfortunately, because of this time we are living in, we are sitting back at home and reflecting back on our other projects which we have to do in future. Of course, we can't go because of lockdown is partially open now, but unfortunately, the quarantine time is quite more in Delhi, unfortunately. Yeah. So it gave us time to sit back and look for the future projects and also to keep up with this equipment. The time is changing so fast. Earlier we used to have a camera which could last for five years, but now within 5 weeks, the new camera comes up. So we're trying to keep with the pace with the technology, learn about it, and hoping to go back in the field as soon as it's opened up.
Oh. Thank you so much, sir. I'll come back to you once again. Sandeep, sir, we have a lot of street photography enthusiasts with us. We would like to understand what's your definition of street photography, basically. I mean to say your definition of street photography.
I think my definition of street photography is basically, if I have to narrow it down to 3 points, I go to streets every time I am bereft of ideas, and a lot of people think that ideas can come on their own, but I think that's the difference between ideas and eggs. They don't pop out. You have to go and gather ideas. So street photography for me, when I started out, not very long ago, 20 years ago, for a lot of photographers also, street photography is a way to get more familiar technically with what you're doing, but also gather ideas on what you would like to do. And this is something that has been with me for a very long time. Whenever I am low on inspiration, on ideas, I go back to streets, but I also go back to streets to keep my photographic muscles in place. In photography, unlike music or any other art form, a lot of us don't talk about practice, which is kind of unfortunate because a lot of photographers believe that if you're a photographer, you're a photographer. But I think if you're out of practice, if you are not in your top shape,
absolutely,
you're not going to make images, the kind of images that you envision.
Absolutely.
And especially when you're working with people, people can be sometimes, a lot of times, more unpredictable than animals. So it kind of keeps you up. You have to think, how would that person visually or emotionally align in your frame, in your scheme of things. So I think that's my take on street photography. Street photography can pave way for a lot of ideas.
Right.
And in fact, I was doing street photography for a very long time before I went commercial.
Right. Absolutely. I think we have been discussing this earlier also. I mean, a lot of your street photography, personal street photography experience have helped you also some way or other in your commercial work also. We'll come back to that particular topic once I come back to you, sir. Moving on to Rohinton, sir. Once again, sir, a very, very important question, and I believe only you can answer this. With some of the amazing mirrorless cameras coming in the market, do you see mirrorless cameras dominating the photography business?
Yes. In my opinion, mirrorless cameras will certainly dominate the photography market. Without going into long-winded discussion, let me tell you, mirrorless cameras have certain advantages over DSLR. One, due to the absence of reflex mirror, mirrorless cameras have significantly less vibrations, which result in sharper pictures. Two, due to the very small distance between the camera body and the flange, between the camera body, flange and the sensor, the manufacturers can design much superior lenses with very little or no chromatic aberrations. Three, mirrorless camera bodies show a preview histogram that allows you to fine tune your exposures even before you take a shot. In my opinion, that's the winner. I changed from DSLRs to mirrorless because of this one important thing. It lets me preview my histogram before I shoot. Of course, there are many other advantages too.
Okay, you have switched over to mirrorless, sir?
I do have my DSLRs too, but I prefer to shoot with the mirrorless. And finally, the electronic viewfinder used in all mirrorless cameras have the advantage that they let you focus very easily on dark subjects compared to optical viewfinders.
Right.
That are found in DSLRs, of course. Of course, there are some minor disadvantages too, but the advantages, in my opinion, outweigh the disadvantages. And the mirrorless is the future.
All right. The digital viewfinder probably takes a little bit of time to adapt someone who has been practicing on DSLR as such.
Very slight, yes. Even then, they're improving all the time.
All right.
And in the latest cameras, the biggest problem that people complain about is the time lag. And in the latest camera, the time lag is so minuscule that you'll hardly notice it unless you are bent on looking for it.
Okay. Okay. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much. Rafiq, sir, I'll move on to you once again, sir. Sir, amongst all the genres of photography in India, where do you rank fashion and why?
Fashion is important because people are interested in fashion. And when the Fashion Institute churn out thousands and thousands of creative people, the fashion is going to be alive. But I basically think the fashion is going down in India. So far as the photography is concerned, I think what we used to shoot years back, I think 10 years back was a much better photography than what we are doing today. Because I think everybody wants to be a digital fashion photographer without much going into what is all fashion can be. It can be very creative, but I think you are not interested in creating images. We are just creating about shooting pictures, take something which is outside, go outdoor and shoot it.
Never. Yeah, because a lot of your work are basically fine art fashion photography. Actually.
Yeah, it is. But again, I think the concept is very important to me. I think without the concept, you can't have any image. And most of the time I see on Insta, the people are shooting for the sake of shooting. I'm very critical about it because I'm very critical about my own work. So I think that a concept should be created before you take any image.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Very rightly said, sir. Thank you, sir, for this insight. Vijay, sir.
Yes.
We have a lot of wildlife photography enthusiasts with us. You know, we started as a wildlife photography training company, actually. One question that keeps on coming again and again nowadays, you know, we see a lot of wildlife photographers within, brackets. So my question is what it takes to take it to the top?
See, I don't know what.
And I would also request Ajay sir also to add your view on this.
Right. Let me finish and then I will chip in.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Sure. The definition of top is very, very different. I don't think so. Any photographer should think that he needs to go on the top first. The major, I would say, for the nature photography, people should understand that good nature photograph has power to change the perspective of people.
Right.
And surprisingly, and it can even surprise people to bring in something which they have never seen before. So I think so if you have that kind of a compassion and that kind of a thinking in your mind, and you have to be out there photographing as much as you can. the later part going on the top comes very secondary. But personally, when I am doing nature photography or wildlife photography, depending on subjects, the I actually believe in two basic fundamentals, which is the one, and the most simple one is that you need to stand in front of some interesting stuff, which is very, very basic. Because if you're sitting in your room, and if you're in your comfort zone, and if you're not going out, won't be able to get that picture which people want to see. And pictures around, when you talk about nature per se, there's so many different kind of pictures, but you need to stand out compared to those kind of pictures. I don't want to see a picture of a tiger anymore. You know, it doesn't, that doesn't mean I hate tiger. It's about how you make the picture different and more interesting. So I quickly want to give an example that just around my Delhi, there are a few, the species, blackbucks, and they are in this particular wetland, which is being taken over by a lot of people, by constructions and all this real estate mafia. And I just took a picture of a blackbird with a fence, with the bark wire and a pole. And that picture by the Honorable Court had stopped making any construction on that particular wetland. So I think that the power of an image is so important these days that you need to go beyond the usual stuff. And the second and the most important thing is that I'm not afraid of getting failed. I have not at all have shame that I've failed many times in the field. Especially when you're sitting for a particular behavior which you want to photograph, I have spent many years trying to get that particular shot which I want. And you need to know that I'm failed, but I need to prove myself to get that kind of an image, which recently we did a project on this frog, which is found, and it took me 3 years just to capture one particular breeding sequence of this particular frog, which comes out for just a single day in a year.
Absolutely. I know very well about it.
So that's my two basic formula which I adopt while doing a nature photography.
Understood. Very well
Right.
said.
Very quickly, just to add in, I mean, I totally
Yes.
agree with Vijay, what Vijay has said, but adding to that, I mean, when you asked what is to be on the top, I will say it's the other way around. If you're thinking about being on the top, then I think so it's a wrong way to go about it, So especially in wildlife, if you are thinking about wildlife, then definitely wildlife can take you to where you want, probably either have recognition or have something which
Absolutely.
you want. Because according to my experience or our experience, we have been grown in wildlife around us, where my grandfather have been keeping animals to, understand them. And while we grew up, the only way I realized that one can be with animals is to, film them, and that's the best way to be close to them and to understand them, So that's very important, that where are you coming from, whether you are a fashion photographer or a street photographer or a wildlife photographer, you have to have that passion within you, to drive you every day, every morning, that you have to be out there and you have to click images. And as Sudeep rightly said, you have to be, you have to be full of ideas, you have to come up with new ideas. With wildlife photography as well, it's, as Vijay said, tiger, people have seen them enough, but yes, a good picture will immediately reflect, that it's a good picture, and as Vijay said, about our frog film, when we started working on our frog film, we never thought that, this could, be a full 1 hour film, on the subject. But when we started doing our research, we really, found that, yes, this is a very good subject in terms of not just, for a film point of view, but to educate people about frogs, because a lot of people didn't know about frogs. They just knew that, they are found in monsoon, in the ponds and the lakes. And ultimately, yes, it went on winning a national award, which I will say, people do appreciate work other than tigers, and that's, we are very pleased about that. And
Absolutely.
that's where, we are, as a wildlife filmmakers, we are able to, put a point out that, every wildlife animal is important and needs to be conserved.
Absolutely. So very well said, sir. And
Thank you.
many congratulations for both of you.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Uh, moving on to Sandeep, sir, once again. Sir, coming back to street photography once again, we would like to have 5 very valuable tips from you as far as street photography is concerned.
Okay. So, as I was saying, street photography can be a tipping point for other things.
Yeah.
So if you look at both of these pictures, they are not pure street photographs.
Right.
One of them is a formal portrait of Raikas, the Rabadis of an area called Godwad in Rajasthan.
Right.
These people herd camels. They have done this for generations. They are what I call camel scientists. They know about camels much more than any scientist would do. And you see the other picture where there are camels, coming through a water body. Now, and there's a bit of contradiction here. There's a bit of irony here. Camel is the ship of the desert, but you see camels wading through water here.
Mhm.
Now in Godwad, there is no desert. It's all green area.
Okay.
But in monsoons, the camels are totally dependent on the forests. They have no other place to go. The fields are being sown, so they are not welcome to the fields. So they have to rely on the forest. And this was on one of the evenings when we were following this camel herd, and their herders. We thought that I would capture a picture where I would get a reflection of the camels walking by the water. But when I noticed the herders, when they came near the water, they directed the camels to wade and pass through the water.
Okay.
So coming back to street photography, I think in street photography or in other genres, any other genre, any other area of photography or image making, I think serendipity is very important. And, there comes a moment, and if you are receptive to that moment, you can get stories, you can get moments which you were wildly thinking about. You were not thinking they might be possible, but they become possible, like this picture. So in terms of street photography, I would think, first of all, one has to have one should be mindful.
Right.
And this is a quality which is, I think, vanishing, because all the time we are thinking about something else.
Would you rank it as the most important quality that is required in a street photography?
I think one of the great things about street photography is that it makes you mindful. You are living in the moment.
Right.
You are not thinking about kal kya hoga, kal kya hua, ghar mein kya ho raha hai, biwi kya karegi, and all those things. You forget about that.
Right.
And I think for a lot of us who are practitioners, this is the beauty of our craft. We get lost in the present. Second thing is that for street photography, also for other genres, one has to remain curious and inspired. So you have to be very, very curious about people, nature, whatever you're shooting. So, and another thing is that for street photography specifically, you have to interact and connect.
Yeah.
And this can be easily misconstrued. When I say interact and connect, I am not asking a street photographer to always talk to people. You can interact with a place. You can interact with people by just observing them.
Okay.
How they live, how they move, their body language, what they say. It reveals a lot about the environment and the people living in that environment. And the third thing, and the last thing, I think, is the patience. I think patience is the key for all of creative arts, including photography. And that invariably applies to street photography also. You have to be really, really patient, because in street photography, you are basically working with framing and timing. And framing and timing, when they come together, you get a split second to make that image which you were planning to, which you were envisioning in a certain way.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for these insights, sir. We are moving on to the third round of questions, and before we put an end to the first session, I'll move on to Rohinton sir once again. Sir, a very similar question, but again, a very important. Uh, what is your take on smartphones, sir? Will a time come when smartphones will outrule the conventional cameras?
Well, about 10 years ago, did anyone even think that smartphones would eventually wipe out the compact camera market?
Absolutely.
Well, it did.
Huh.
So coming back to your question, in my opinion, if smartphone manufacturers succeed in using a larger sensor like the APS-C or even the Micro Four Thirds,
Right.
yes, then they will create a headache for the DSLR and mirrorless cameras. This does not mean that DSLRs and mirrorless cameras will be wiped out, but the competition will get fierce. Smartphones may not reach the capabilities of dedicated cameras as far as long focal length lenses are concerned. And so they might not make a difference to wildlife photographers. However, for landscape photographers, things may be different because smartphones can incorporate ultra-wide angle lenses. The phones may become a bit larger, thicker, and heavier if they, of course, make the sensors larger, but people will get used to those things. So yes, camera manufacturers have to consider this, and they should think, never look down on your competitors. They can do things which you might not even think they can do.
Yeah, very truly said, sir. Absolutely. Rafiq, sir, your next question to you, sir. Something similar to what I asked Vijay, sir. In fashion photography, what it takes to be recognized in the field of fashion.
No, can you repeat your question?
My question is, sir, what it takes to be recognized in the field of fashion photography. There are a lot of enthusiasts, but what it takes to be recognized.
Doctor, I'll be very frank with you that I hate the tag of fashion photography.
Okay.
I basically think you have to be a photographer first, then you become a photographer elsewhere. The fashion, or you are doing portrait or doing anything. I think when you are shooting fashion, you have a different view, a different eye to look at the things. You have a different concept to do it. Portrait is more difficult, I think, because you know the situation, you are doing a situation photography, situational photography, or you're doing a photography, you know the character of the person. You have to interact with the person.
Right.
It is, again, I think that fashion has a scope unless you know the photography very well. Know the fashion very well. You are trying to work with the best of the people in the industry. I was lucky enough to work with Wendell, Shahab, and other people. But hard work is very important because I think you have to go to location and see where the light is coming from, how the location is, and everything. Because it's not easy to go at the same day, and you might get the harsh light or very soft light, and the direction is coming from somewhere else. So you have to do hard work. There is no scope that you are not going to do hard work and you are going to be a success.
Absolutely. That is irrespective of the genre of photography. Absolutely. Very well said, sir. Very well said. Vijay, sir. Wildlife photography in India is, I can call it is non-rewarding. Is it true? Or do you agree to this statement? Or what is your take on wildlife photography as a career opportunity in India? We keep getting this questions almost every alternate.
Doctor, it's a very important answer to your question is yes or no. Frankly speaking, it's very tough to be a wildlife photographer. And I won't just say wildlife photographer, but photographer in India generally is quite challenging stuff. And coming back, and it is as tough and challenging like any other genre, whether it's fashion, it's fine art, street photography, whether it's industry photography, the venues are very, very limited. Whereas in foreign countries, the creativity is subcolor, it's a different platform. You want to be a creative, There's a different platform in universities, schools, where people are encouraged to do or follow their passion like that. Coming back to nature photography specifically, I want to put you a question. If you take a brilliant picture, you could be a dream picture of yours, where would you like to publish it in India?
That's very, very tough to answer. Yes, the
So
platform is missing probably.
yes, so you can just count handful of magazines in India which can take your picture, and you know what kind of a pay scale they give you. And to be frank enough, I don't want to burst any bubbles here. Like, you can make your own coffee table book. You can go for commissioning a coffee table book. You can go to these magazines to print your pictures. It's very, very sad scenario, and it's very, very fact that it's published across the world. I can be proudly say it's been published in different magazines around the world. But when it comes to India as such, it's very, very limited fun. And the fact is, there's enormous amount of talent in India. It's no dearth of people who's taking some remarkably amazing pictures of nature and wildlife. But coming back to broadcast and showcase, it's very challenging. And coming to your basic question, just keeping it very brief, as the time constraint is, that ultimately whether you want to take wildlife photography as your mainstream profession, it's a very big question and very big challenge. And I don't want to say yes, you should, because ultimately to take a good picture, you need to travel, which is a basic thing. You need to keep up with the technology. You need to get basic gear to do it. But if you're not able to make money, a little bit money to sustain your travel and take pictures, you won't be able to do justice to nature photography.
Yeah.
So and photographer, we try to do a little bit of film so we can get some money. We do freelance projects and then pump into our own dream projects and try to get something wildlife amazing moment which we want to capture in a lifetime, and then we try to make money out of it. So as a youngster, I would say you need to balance out your freelance or your wildlife. And when you think your nature photography is giving you enough that you're one of the stars around the world scene and you're making enough money to sustain your wildlife photography, then completely switch over than doing the other way around. I don't want people should buy expensive lenses or expensive gear and start traveling to burn all your money and realize there's no outlet.
Right. Absolutely. Very clear insights. Thank you so much for that. Ajay sir, you would like to add something to it?
Yes, nothing much, but yes, very quickly, a short point, no doubt. I mean, as you said, wildlife photography as a career, one can definitely opt for that. There is no doubt about it. And there are many people, even youngsters, who are coming up and who want to become wildlife photographers and filmmakers, and we started as, wildlife photographers as well, assisting our fathers.
Absolutely.
So I will say, no doubt, I mean, the journey is very, very challenging, and the challenges are many, and it could be technology, it could be, being there at one point and, clicking a picture which is, unique from everybody else. Because one of the biggest challenge is, once you're out in the field these days, apart from you, there are hundreds of other people who are taking the same shot at the same time,
Very right.
So at that very point, you as a photographer, as even Sandeep rightly said, you have to be very, be present there at very moment, So not about thinking about anything else, but thinking about just your subject and the relation you have with your subject and the kind of picture you want.
Right. Absolutely.
Yes, if you are able to do that, then yes, you have a picture which is different, which can be either sold. But yes, as Vijay said, the venues and the platforms are very, very bleak, very, very small, and the payouts is even smaller, But yes, as one could start, and becoming a wildlife photographer, definitely takes time. It's not a one-day job or a two-day job or a week job, that you're a wildlife photographer. But a lot of people think that way, with a digital camera in hand, with 10 days out in the field, they are the wildlife photographers, But yes, one can start as a hobby, as Vijay said, you can start putting in money, buying small grays and, move up towards your target. And yes, once you decide and once you have a mentor, it's very important to have a mentor in any line. I don't know, but this is my opinion. We had our mentors, and one can learn a lot through mentors. And the mentors, being your guide, can teach you a lot about any subject, and especially talking about wildlife. They will tell you in and out about the ethics of wildlife filmmaking as well. So yes, you have to learn a lot. The challenges are many, but yes, if you are dedicated, your dream will come true for sure.
Thank you so much. Thank you
Doctor,
so much. Yes, sir.
just want to add something about it.
Yes, sir. Yes.
You know, is a commercial, except the commercial photography, the
Right.
people can't talk too much about how to earn money because everything is, unless we promote photo art in this country, which is I think is a very important aspect of it. Because I survive on photo art, I survive on selling images, and it's very important because now the commercial art is not going to be as much there in the market because of pandemic. People should concentrate, but again the buying power is not going to be there. But for future, I think people should concentrate on photo art. It is a lot of money abroad. People don't buy photo art in this country, but there's a lot of international buyers out there.
Right. Right. Thank you so much for this valuable insights.
Lena, Lena,
Sir, Sandeep, sir, probably we are coming to the end of the first session. My question is, I think this is a one topic which we have been discussing also. Uh, how street photography can be extended to encompass and enrich other genres, and how skills from commercial practice can be meaningfully employed in personal projects. We have been seeing you doing that. So your insights. About
Yeah, so that's a very interesting question, you know. And I will kind of try to chip in my example if that's okay.
Yes, yes, please go.
So when I started photography, I mean, because we were working with film and film came with a cost, you had to really know what you were doing through the viewfinder very well before you release the shutter. So I spent a lot of time on streets and travel. And it was almost, I think I started in the year 2000 and my first commercial assignment came in 2005. So it was almost 5 years before I went commercial. But by that time, I knew not only my technique very well, but I also knew the aesthetic that I wanted to work towards.
Right.
And this is really important because in a lot of forums, we talk about technique, but we don't talk about the aesthetic.
Understood.
And I don't want to even use the word aesthetic for it. I want to use a less glamorous word for it. One has to really know what they want to do.
Right.
Whereas with the digital, one gets an impression, and it's a faulty impression, that you can do everything. You can never do everything in life or in photography. So I think one of the things that one has to realize is that whether you are doing commercial work or personal work, they kind of inform each other, they kind of enrich each other. And when you do personal work, that kind of spills over to your commercial work. And in my case, the commercial work has also come to my personal work. So the picture we saw with the earlier question of Rabadis, you know, Raikas, when I shoot in the field these days, I shoot a lot of formal portraits with this community Raikas, the camel herders. I always use a flash.
Right.
It's a part of my aesthetic, but I learned flash as part of my commercial work. Earlier, I was not using flash for any of my personal street work. But when I go to streets now, of course, you can't call it pure street photography if you are a Puritan. But when I make portraits on streets, formal portraits, I use flash. It gives me a studied look. It's a look that I have come to work on over the years. So I think commercial and personal work kind of inform each other. And these days, as Rafiq Saab said, commercial work is not much, but people are getting commercial work on the strength of their personal work.
Right.
A lot of new photographers who are coming. Some of them have done some wonderful personal work, and they have landed commercial projects, big or small, on the strength of their personal work.
Right. Right. Very well said, sir. It's a very, very powerful insight to which motivates everyone to keep continuing their personal work, which is going to be very influential in the commercial aspect as well. So, sirs, before we take up the questions, there are a lined up of around 9 to 10 questions. I do not know because of time.
I have one last point to make.
Yes, yes, please go ahead, sir.
Yeah, I think Ravik sir, Ajay and Vijay also talked about it. It's very important for photographers to get their work critiqued.
Yeah.
And it's kind of ironical that it has become so difficult in the age of social media.
Yes.
A lot of social media, if I may use the term, is about I scratch your back, you scratch mine. You know, it's not easy to get an honest critique of your work.
Very true. Instagram is, I think, all about that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't dislike social media. I think it has a lot of power. Right. You can share your work wide without spending any dime on it. Right. But at the same time, if you require an honest critique,
right,
it's very difficult to get it done in India to a certain extent. They are not forums where you could go take a digital portfolio or a printed portfolio and get a review, an honest critique,
right,
from people who have done it.
Very right. Vijay, sir, you want
I think I rather be very ruthless about my own pictures. I think that I'm the first person to be very own critical about my pictures, because I think that other people not going to see through my own vision, through my own things. So I rather be very critical about my picture before releasing anywhere whatsoever. Even in the past, when I used to work for editorial, because there is no money now, I stopped working. I used to send one picture of each shot. And I never used to give more than a shot to anybody. Because I know the moment you give the 5 shots, they are going to select the worst out.
And that always happens. I just like to say, Doctor, I quickly want to add one important, which most of our fellow panelists have said, that, talking about the World Photography Day, it's so bizarre that people start putting a picture today saying that we are celebrating it. I personally think that, photography day should be celebrated every day. If you are a true photographer, you need to keep clicking pictures. And as Farid sir said, that when you post a picture on a digital medium, you should be self-convinced first that I am proud of that picture than putting it away, rather than just putting all the pictures there on social media to people to see, which is common for everyone to see.
Absolutely.
So I would say this, just one basic suggestion to everyone who's listening to this video of ours is, it's basically, don't treat a camera as a box. Camera doesn't make a picture, it's a person behind it take the picture. And you have the power to change the world and open the people's minds if you can do a good photograph.
Absolutely.
Doctor, I have something to say.
Yes,
we were talking about critic and honest critic. If you want an honest critic, don't ask your friend.
Absolutely.
Ask somebody who doesn't like you, or come to me.
Very good.
I wouldn't worry whether somebody feels bad or not. I'm going to give it to him the way he wants it. So
absolutely.
That's it.
This message is communicated to the audience. Sir, I think we have a couple of questions lined up. Before we take them, sir, any last message that you want to convey to the audience?
You're asking me? Yeah.
Yes, sir, to all of
you. Yeah, okay. Well, if you want to be a real good photographer, first thing, get out of your comfort zone. Photography is not meant for people who want to take things easy. Sunrise doesn't wait for you. You can't say, I will get up at 8 o'clock and go for my sunrise. You have got to carry a heavy load. Your camera bag could be 15 kilograms. That's over 30 pounds. And if you are lazy, if you are just wanting to be under your warm blanket on a cold night, then photography is not for you. In that case, the hobby which I suggest is watching TV. So that's the first thing to remember. And second thing to remember is that digital cameras, especially now, there are so many amazing features and you've got to study them regularly. If you stop using your camera for 10, 15 days, you are going to miss out on some features. Yep. It happens to me, it happens to everyone. So you got to be in touch all the time and use your camera on a regular basis and keep an eye and learn post-processing. Though some people don't like it, and that can be another topic for discussion. There can be a big debate on that. But yes, learn post-processing because it's very, very important. And one last point I would like to say that from my personal opinion, I'm saying, if you want to be a commercial photographer, I'm not talking of wildlife photographers or like that, but learn the art of composites. That is the future. 10 years later, I may not be here around, but you will see that if you are into composites, you will succeed. That's what is required now.
Very true. I think moving with time is something one has to learn from you, Rona sir. Any last message to the audience, Rafiq sir?
This is going to be my personal opinion. And I think photography, if you see, the life is much larger than the viewfinder of the camera. You have to be, the basic rules I follow is observation and awareness. You observe, you are aware of the things going around, that can be your concept. And you can change the whole thing, what you have seen around you, and replicate it going back to a studio, or you want a concept outside. Another thing that I would like to advise for photographer, learn how to shoot with films. Film teaches you a lot of things. Is a pre-conceptualizing with the film is far better than you shoot with the digital camera. And now people are talking about the phone camera. I think if you have a camera and you are a photographer, using phone camera, this is my opinion, is a useless thing. And I'll be very outspoken about it, because you are a photographer, you have to look through the viewfinder, and you should be knowing which lens you are going to use it, which is a perfect thing for you. I think I'm not going to learn it through the phone, but it's my personal opinion. And Rohinton, sir, he is my teacher. He's going to disagree on that.
No, I'm not disagreeing. My question was different. What was my thinking about the way the future will be for smartphones, whether they will give competition? That was my question. I'm not suggesting. I do not like to take pictures with my smartphone either, but they help at times. At times when you have nothing in your hand and you want to.
I've never shot it, so I can't. I've never used it.
Whenever I have slideshows, I put 3-4 pictures I have shot with my cell phone. And no one from the audience ever says, but something was lacking over there. So it's come to that standard. We have to accept, but personally, I would definitely prefer using a dedicated camera than using a smartphone. It goes without saying. So I do not disagree with you.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much. Ajay sir and Vijay sir, any message?
Do you want to go first?
Oh, as I said earlier, doctor, that, don't think as camera just a box. Camera doesn't make any picture. It's a person behind it. And good photographer has a power to change the world and open the minds of people. So I'm saying, if you're a true nature photographer, keep that in mind, be honest to yourself, and most important, be ethical. Nobody wants a flying bird picture while throwing a stone on it. So please be honest to your work, take decent pictures, respect animal. Remember, it's their world and you need to respect them before you're taking a picture. And if you keep all this thing in your mind, you would be a true great nature photographer.
Very well.
Like you said, it's great that we are celebrating the World Photography Day, and it should be celebrated because it's an art, and it's an art form, and it's a form which every kind of people, like the children, like the adults, and even the senior people, love to create pictures from. But as a wildlife filmmaker and a photographer, we must realize that future of wildlife as scientists say, is very, very bleak unless and until we take very concrete, measures to preserve it. And the best way to do that is to click n number of pictures, and, throw it at people, and people can love that pictures, and, you can create a movement around it.
Absolutely.
And just to end, I will say, the eyes, the heart, and the mind are your cameras. And, if you can visualize it, you can create it, basically. So be true to it, be original, and keep clicking.
Thank you so much. Very powerful insights. Sandeep, sir, any message from you to the audience?
I think I will partially repeat myself. I think people should be mindful. Those of us who want to become image makers, make a ruthless distinction between being a camera owner and a photographer. Not every camera owner is a photographer. Observe more than you shoot. The reverse of this is happening. A lot of people are shooting more than they observe, which is not the way to go about it. I think I second Rafiq Saab on this. When you work with film, because there's limitation.
You don't have any scope to do that.
Yeah, because you're working with a medium which is slightly limited, you are working to transcend those limitations.
Very right.
You are trying to work around those limitations. And photography, like all other endeavors in art or creativity, has a bit of problem solving built into it. It's a visual problem solving, but there is a bit of problem solving that we do all the time when we are photographing wildlife or streets or fashion. And that requires patience, training, observation, and mindfulness. That's all I have to say.
Very well said, sir. Very well said. So we have a couple of questions in the Q&A section. So before we move on to the next phase of this session, which is going to be announcing the winners of the photo contest, let's take up a couple of questions which I have in the Q&A box. Let me just, friends, because of constraint of time, we may not be able to take up all the questions, so we need to curate a little bit. Mr. Yogesh Chauhan asks, considering the changes from roll film to digital to mirrorless, what could be a major change in photography scenario in 2030? I think it's a question for Ronnie, sir, I think.
I won't be around at 2030. That's for sure. Okay. I exactly didn't follow your question. What do you want to know about it?
Yogesh is asking, considering the changes from roll film to digital to mirrorless, the kind of changes that has been happening, what could be a major change in photography scenario by 2030? He is asking. So
photography basically is not changing. You're changing the tool, and you're using the tool in a slightly different way. But photography remains photography. It's not changing by any way.
It's only the tool that is changing.
It's the tool that is changing. Absolutely. And you got to learn to use the new tools. That's it.
So in terms of, I would say video, I would say a lot of people would see more of 8K or maybe 12K coming into more smaller cameras, more of mirrorless.
And we don't have a device to view 8K videos, actually.
I know, but unfortunately, the whole idea is to capture as big a file you can for the future proofing your content. And in terms of the photography part, you will see more high resolution cameras, picture quality coming into your smartphones,
right?
And much better quality, and the ability to zoom in and take picture would be coming in for sure. Right. And I would say more of publication would be accepting that kind of a quality because that's the way the technology shift is.
Right. Absolutely.
Of course, that doesn't mean that the traditional cameras or mirrorless will go away. That will also get better, but that's a different kind of photography where people will be moving towards it.
But just to add, I mean, probably by 2030, there would be more phone photographers than the regular photographers, probably, because the technology on phones and small mediums would really, really boost, as you can see, many other people are coming up, very professional models in phone photography. But yes, no doubt in other professional models, as Vijay quoted, the quality, the overall quality will kind of really boost up. like the dynamic range and the other aspects where, you know, one can really either manipulate or I will say correct images in the post would be really, really great. And one can really have a different perspective, you know, once you think about photography these days, people could think about, you know, the books, the pictures, small posters, you know, but once we talk about 8K, you know, people could have big wall size or even building size projections, you know, of the pictures. So yes, I mean, that's one way to go about it.
Right. Next question from Mr. Alok. This is for Mehta sir. Dear Mehta sir, is there a difference between CDAF, PDAF, and DPAF? I believe he's talking about contrast detection autofocus, phase detection autofocus, and dual pixel autofocus. And do you feel one of these is superior to the other?
Dual pixel autofocus is basically for your video stuff. It's not in your still photography. And if you're talking of phase detection, and there is contrast detection.
Right.
Phase detection is when you are using your optical viewfinder, and when you're using directly from your screen, that is with contrast detection. And some cameras are now hybrids too. Well, contrast detection is definitely more accurate than phase detection, but it is definitely slower. So, yeah.
All right. The next question is from Alka Kedia. Sir, this is for Rafiq sir. So she's asking, what is photo art?
Photo art is something about you talk about the fine art kind of a photography where you can do it a landscape or even the fashion and everything, which is out of the box thinking. It is something which is you can sell as a photo art, not necessarily you just have a fashion picture you can sell as a photo art. No, it's not going to be possible because whoever is going to buy is a proud owner to be expressing it himself sorry, in the drawing room or the put up the picture in a bedroom. This is very common in people buy in hotels and motels internationally and put up picture which is very, very different. You ask Ronnie sir about what is going to happen in 2013. I think we are going to produce more and more photographers. I think we have to think about the photography and sellability of that. You have to make more artists out of it. Then there is a very great scope of selling your picture and making a photo art. You can do it in India.
Right. I think a similar question Alok also has asked, any suggestion of professional abstract photographers and share any tips on how to grow in that genre?
You asking me?
Alok, you can unmute yourself and ask this question, what exactly you wanted to mean. Alok, you're there?
Hi, everyone. Thank you for this session. My question to really was about abstract photography. Just looking for hints about growing in that genre, any inspirational photographers whom we can follow and learn from, because it's an undefined genre, so to speak.
Right.
So that was really the question.
Okay.
Thanks so much.
Sir, Rafiq sir?
Yeah, I can answer that.
Anybody? Okay.
I can answer it because
Yes.
abstract is very, very popular internationally. A lot of people do it internationally and sell their pictures thing. But again, I think if you concentrate on India and this time when abstract is not done by the commercial photographers, they always have a love to photography and do something different. And again, I am saying it, if you sell those pictures, beginning you are not going to make a lot of money, but nonetheless, you are abstract, you are not doing the commercial work. And if you start selling that picture, there's a great scope in this country because I think painting sometimes abstract, many times is abstract, and they sell well. Though the buyers are more concentrate on buying a painting than a photograph, but you have to change their minds. The time has come.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for that. All right, Hemang has a question for the Bedi brothers. He has two questions. In fact, I'll rather combine it. He asks, what would be Bedi brothers say for hobbyist wildlife photographers to improve their photography? And the second part of the question is, during the time of lockdown, how does an enthusiast wildlife photographer practice to hone his skills?
See, most of when people talk about wildlife photography, the first question they want to know is which camera they want to buy or what lens they should get. I would say, instead of investing into a huge piece of equipment, I know people wants to have telephoto uh, first, the biggest lens possible, which is the most expensive lens possible. I would say they should look at the other way around. Instead of looking at the telephoto, they should start looking at the macro stuff, which is more common and found around, which I'm asking both the question, even the lockdown would help, because right now is monsoon season and there are a lot of creepy corals and a lot of frogs, which is, as small as your thumbnail. They can try to photograph them, learning their behavior, and coming back to the basic, which our follow panelists said, that, instead of pressing that button first, coming to the basic, you need to ask your question yourself, why are you clicking this? What you want from the picture? What you want to show in the picture? And try to observe the behavior of an animal. If the animal is disturbed or insect is disturbed, you won't get that picture what you're looking for, whether it's your fine art or whether it's your behavior stuff. So whole idea is to spend time with the subject as much as you can and try to take a picture, basically. And during the lockdown, of course, you can't go out for the obvious reasons. So you can just go to the backyard, go to the gardens, and you'll be surprised to know, because of this lockdown, the animals have got a lot of relief and they've been really enjoying it. And if I don't know if you guys noticed, there's more bird chirping in your normal parks, which you normally don't hear.
Yeah.
So I would say just go into backyard, maybe in your park, which is close to your colony, and just look around. You will be fascinated to see the amount of bird species and new plants which you never noticed before.
Absolutely, very well said.
As you said, I need to add very quickly a short point. Basically, I mean, for the hobbyists, a lot of people have this in mind that they have to have a close-up shot of an animal, a close-up shot of any particular species, But my advice to them is, they can actually have a wide shot with an animal in their surroundings, And it's very important to have a story around a picture, or a picture, whichever you are taking. It should, you should be able to create a story, or you should have a story in that picture. Then it will make more sense, and you will be able to create more pictures with that story in mind,
Absolutely.
And especially in a lockdown, one can definitely go with, urban wildlife, as Vijay was pointing, there's a lot of birds around.
Right.
There are a lot of insects and plants around, and one can actually, incorporate them with people around, So it's not just wildlife photography. You can improve your skills as a photographer by doing different kinds of photography. Like I will quote, when you do street photography or people photography, you will get that instinct of, clicking pictures, capturing the moments, at the right time. So that will really help you while you are doing your wildlife pictures, So this was one of the examples which came. Yes, thank you.
Absolutely. I think you have already answered one of another question of Alok only. He is asking, all wildlife and travel images look the same, and thus somewhat repetitive. Is that because we have all locked in our vision into specific focal lengths for specific genres? So I think it's pretty much something similar to what you had addressed.
Right.
Yeah, so rest of the questions are more or less, I think they have either already been answered almost in the similar manner. If any other questions we have missed out, we'll definitely try to take them up offline and we will pass it on to the respective mentors. We have a little time constraint, so we will be willing to move on to the next session. Which is basically about the photo contest that we have been running. We had been through the online photography contest that had run almost through a week leading to the World Photography Day, in order to celebrate the spirit of all the photographers. And the theme of the contest was kept as Shadow to Light. This contest was open to all, and all photographers were invited to share their images on their social media handles based on the themes shadow to light. And we have selected 5 winners, and we are coming to the last portion of this particular session, and we will be showing the images of these 5 winners. Can we move on to the next? Please remember, these are not graded as 1 to 5. These top 5 winners all are equal. It has been a tough time to select the top 5. There have been, some of them have been really fantastic entries. So all these 5 are equals, and they are not graded as 1st to 5th. Let's take a look at the pictures. Many congratulations, Ruskin. A very wonderful picture. Beautiful concept, Rash Bihari Datta. Kapil Dev, again, a very unique perspective, very unique content. Mr. Rajesh Singh, beautifully captured. And Mr. Hemang Bhansali, a wildlife with a concept of shadow to light is not a very easy thing to do. So many congratulations to all the winners. Our admin team will get in touch with all of you. Our admin team will get in touch with all of you for your respective awards. They will be coordinating with you one-on-one. And thank you so much for joining us today. Happy World Photography Day. Thank you so much, all the mentors, for spending so much time with us. It was a great interaction with all of you. Thank you, all the participants, for being with us.
Thank you.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. It was really,
Thank you.
really nice.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you. We are ending the session now. Good night and stay
Good
safe.
night. Good night.
Night.
You know.